everybody, and welcome to a Tatter-a-fact here at the Girlz Ink studio in Las Vegas. Glad to be here. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Sophia.
Hi, Teryn.
So today on my podcast, we have Sophia, and she is fairly new artist at the Girlz Ink studio. You've been here a few months now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
yeah.
just starting to feel comfortable with our crew and
no, I think I started to feel comfortable very fast because everyone here is like so friendly and nice.
No,
yeah,
well, you're so very friendly.
Difficult.
Yeah, Kat. Right, what we noticed about you right away is Kat was like, she's really warm. She's a hugger. She hugs.
Yeah,
like when she sees you, she hugs. When she comes in, when she leaves, she hugs. Like you're a hugger.
Yeah, I'm a hugger for
sure. Yeah, you're really warm and super friendly and affectionate and. So yeah, and you fit in great here too. So we were really lucky to have found you and to have you here. You've been a great addition. So
thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. And so you've been doing PMU about 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So fairly new, but seasoned enough that you've learned a thing or two. You've got, right? Yeah, you've been long enough to, form some opinions and have some experiences. And my mentor always said to me, 5 years. If you're working full time at this, mm-hmm. there's a 5-year learning curve. It will take you 5 years mm-hmm. to become really well seasoned, to where anything, to get all the different skin types, all the different challenges, things that are going to go wrong, have them go wrong. And then of course we have to fix it. We have to fix our own mistakes. So, where do you feel that's about right? Like you're at the 3-year mark. So you feel you're pretty settled in with your brow work. Do you only do brows at this point?
At this point, yeah. I only do brows. And I think what you said makes a lot of sense. Like 5 years of like doing this. I've been doing it for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
But when I think about how much you can learn in like 1 year, even in one day, right? Like the new things you can learn with just like one client or one procedure. Like, if I think about myself in 2 years, I'm probably going to know like a lot more. I'm going to be a lot better doing things maybe differently than how I do them today. So, yeah.
Of course, especially hanging out with us.
Yeah. Since
studio,
I got here.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been learning a lot of things.
Yeah, because we have a lot of different artists here that work a little bit differently. Like I'm not the type of studio owner that it's my way or the highway. You got to work the way I work. I'll teach you my way, but you have to let an artist have the freedom to figure out the things on their own too, and come up with their own ways of stretching and moving and needle choices and machine choices and all that stuff. So I guess I like a little bit of structure, but also definitely the freedom for artists to find their own way and come up with their own kind of secret sauce to success. Yeah
I think, and that's one of the things that I noticed when I got here and that I loved. It was like you're super respectful with like the way we like to work as artists, but at the same time you're super open with like how you work, like your secrets, like your technique, right? So I think it's like a really cool balance because I've learned so much from you, but at the same time, like you're not imposing like, like, oh no, you have to do things this way or something like that.
No.
Like,
no.
You're not like that. So
no, that's not
like
me at all.
Balance.
No, I might not understand the way you guys work, because you're young. You are that young generation of artists that I poke fun of sometimes, like because the way you do powder brows takes you like 3 hours. Am I exaggerating?
No,
right.
It takes me like
yeah. You're from that generation. You've been doing it 3 years. You use. Well, we're going to talk about your needles in a minute. We're going to get into your brow work and how you work in a minute. But you are that young generation of artists that's learning all these new techniques that are very different from, the techniques that I have evolved into and that I use. But with that said, I embrace it. I find it exciting and thrilling, and yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's really great to have a studio with diverse artists. It's like my only criteria is we're doing beautiful work. We're kind, we're treating our clients well, and we're doing beautiful work. I don't care how you're getting to that beautiful work. I don't care what needle you use. I don't care your technique. I don't care if it takes you 30 minutes or 3 hours. I might tease you a little bit about it, but yeah, but I don't care. None of that stuff really matters to me as long as you're producing beautiful work. The client's getting beautiful work, and the clients are happy. That's really all I care about. I think it's fun having a bunch of diverse artists, in a studio. And when I first started Girlz Ink, we really weren't so diverse because I opened up the studio all on my own. I was the only artist, and I brought in all brand new apprentices like Amber and Michonne. And so I taught them my way, and Amber still works really a lot like me. When you watch her work, it's like watching me work. To this day, she's changed a few things up, but she works very, very, very much like me. And Michonne too, Michonne, works a lot like me when she's using bigger needles and working on challenging skin. So for a lot of years, there was diversity in personality, but there wasn't a lot of diversity in technique, I guess, because, they learned under me and they were working like me. And now I have artists that, you joined the team, and you were out there working for 3 years, and you had already developed your kind of technique and the way you like to do brows by the time you got here. Ren has been here a few months. She's been doing brows 5 years. She already had her technique, So now Girlz Ink is kind of evolved into the studio of really diverse artists where we're all using different needles, different movements, different techniques. Our philosophies are a little bit different. We all have the one thing in common. We're all obsessed with beautiful work, right? And wanting to get better. Better. We're all obsessed with that, even myself. But so I love that. I really love that. And I like where we're at right now as a studio.
Yeah, I think that's what I loved about like Girlz Ink too when I first came here, when I first started, because I realized that, how you say it, is like so diverse. Like we all work differently, right?
Yeah.
But we are producing like good work and like beautiful results.
Yeah.
Like at the same time, and that's why I think I've learned so much, like from you, but also from my coworkers and other artists here. Yeah. Right.
That's fantastic. And that's the way it should be. That's the way an artist should be. I grew up in tattoo studios. I was a body tattooer, and that's the way it was in the body tattoo shops. It's like you'd have lots of different artists, 5, 6, 7 artists in a tattoo shop, and one maybe did American, really specialized in American traditional tattooing. The other one did, black, like my mentor Eddie, he did, predominantly black and gray biomechanical portraits. And then another one might do, neo-traditional. So, each artist kind of had their own specialty and worked a little bit differently, and we would really learn from each other, and a lot of respect for each other and their specialties. And so it was always my dream to have a studio like that, kind of modeled after like a tattoo shop where, different PMU artists, and we're all kind of have our little specialties and niches and way of doing things. Yeah. So I'm like super stoked. So before we get into your brow work, Sophie, I want to, so you did your very first eyeliner yesterday.
Yes.
You did. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So before we get into that, because I've talked about it before in here, like a lot, where I notice this whole generation of artists. There's a lot of artists out there, you included, doing beautiful eyebrows. Yet most of you, a lot of you, you're just staying with brows. you're not moving into eyeliner. So why in the 3 years had you not moved into eyeliner yet? I'm just curious.
Like, to be honest, it was like the fear of working on the eye.
Yeah, being around the eyeball.
Yeah, being around the eyeball. That's one of the things why, like, I wanted to learn, but at the same time, I was scared because I was like, oh my God, working like near the eyeball. That sounds like too intense. I don't know if I would be able to take it. That's what I used to think, right? After yesterday now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, got it. Okay, I see how this can be done.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so the way I like you and Ren both yesterday kind of shared a model.
Yeah.
And it was Kat's sister.
Yeah.
Right. No pressure, but she was good.
Yeah.
She was a good model, but she was a little bit of a challenging model because she was a little twitchy, a little movie, right? A little blinky, a lot of movement. She had a lot of movement, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't really affect me or like rattle me at this point. You know, I've done over 5,000 eyeliners, but for you and Ren, it probably really, really rattled you and like scared you. Like every time she blinked, twitched, moved, tried to squint, like did it freak you out?
Yeah, like absolutely. I was like, oh Lord, please don't let me like poke her eye. But I was so happy I had that experience with you, like there watching, because I was like, okay, Teryn is here, so she's not gonna let me like, you know, like fail or something.
Yeah, you know, and I've never really heard of anybody poking an eye during an eyeliner procedure. It may have happened. I don't know. I've never seen a post about it. It's never made the headlines. I've never heard of it. So, so eyeliner, you know, is there's a lot to learn with eyeliner. There's a lot going on at one time. There's a lot going on with brows too. There's a lot we have to learn with brows and be, you know, aware of while we're working on a brow. But I think with eyeliner, it's more layered and more complex because you are around the eyeball, right? You have to be around the eyeball. And I think there's more movement that we have to control. Yes. Right? Like a brow model can, like, especially if you're having conversation with them.
Yeah.
Like they can raise their eyebrows. Right.
Yeah, but that's easy. You're just like, oh, can you relax your brows, and that's it.
Yeah. Like, or I say, don't talk. Yeah. If we're talking, I like conversation with my clients. You know, I have music going, and you know, and I'll have conversation with my clients every now and then. I'll have a client like last week. She was kind of like humming along to the song, you know. But if their eyebrows start bopping up and down, you know, I can say, okay, you know, don't chatter. Every time you talk, you're bouncing your eyebrows up and down. But with eyeliner, it's more than that. It's you know, they want to squint because there's a needle close to their eye. Whenever there's anything around our eyeball, we tend to want to protect. It's human nature, right? Sometimes I don't even think they even know they're doing it.
It's like a reflex, right?
It's just like a natural reflex, right, to protect their eyeball. So they want to squint. You know, they want to blink. You know, they want to pull away. They're twitchy. Their eyeball rolls around. You can see their eyeball rolling around underneath the eyelid, right? So, and we have to control all that, you know, because you can't be tattooing on an eye when there's movement.
Yeah, that's something I realized yesterday. Like you as an artist have to be the one in control, like always, right?
Right.
But like with eyeliner, like literally in control of like the movement. Like, of their eye.
Yeah.
So, and it might sound maybe easy, but once you're there, you see that there's like a specific technique, right?
Yes.
That you were teaching us of how you can achieve that, so you can do your work and you don't have to worry if they're like trying to move or blink or, you know?
Yeah. You have to always be conscious where the pupil of the eye is. Make sure that's never near your needle. You got to make sure the eye is moist. It doesn't get too dried out. There's a lot. But it was really fun for me teaching you and Ren and seeing you and Ren on your very first eyeliner. What was your big takeaway yesterday? And you and Ren did pretty good. You did good.
Thank you.
For a first eyeliner, you did exactly how I expected you to do. And there's only so much you can do to prepare, right? I had you watch an eyeliner video I filmed. I had you guys on, you and Ren met up. I had you on latex. We did some
Mm-hmm.
stretching techniques. You
Mhm.
watched some eyeliner procedures. How
Mhm.
much more preparing can you do except jump in there and get on an eyeliner, a real eyeliner, right?
Mhm.
So what was your big takeaway yesterday, Sophie?
I think my big takeaway was how methodic it is, like in the sense that you see that it is like a small portion of skin that you're gonna be tattooing, but there is like a method, like, well, your method of like implanting the ink, right?
Mhm.
Because it looks like, oh, it's just a line, so probably just like go over the line and that's it.
Mhm.
But no, there's like, you have the 3 lines and how you're gonna be packing, like,
Yeah.
with the movements, and you have to advance, like, you go forward with like each section and everything. So like the whole method, like methodology, I saw it in the video, right?
Yeah.
But it's so different to see it in the video than you actually doing it.
Then you having to execute it.
Exactly.
Do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's the exact opposite of the way you in particularly work and Ren works, because you both are young and doing. First, let me say, I don't even think I said this yet, but the reason you're even here as a Girlz Ink artist is because your brow work is absolutely fucking beautiful.
Oh,
you do beautiful, beautiful brows. Absolutely beautiful. As Ren, both of you look at both of your brow work. It's just so stunning. It's just stunning. And so but you guys are so used to using smaller needles, right? And taking 3 out, taking your time and layering. I think you're used to lighter saturation, and with the type of brows that you and Ren do on every single client, you're going for that lighter saturation, powdery, airy, soft, natural.
Yeah.
So you work a certain way. But on eyeliner, 80% of your eyeliners they don't want airy, soft, light saturated. They want solid, high saturation, and black. That's what they want, right? So it's the complete opposite of your eyebrow philosophy and technique. So you had to like completely forget everything you learned and knew about eyebrows and adopt this whole new philosophy. Is like, okay, I'm going for solid, high saturation, no airy spots, nothing powdery, just solid black, because that's what Jackie wants, right? And was it hard? Is it hard to get out of the I'm doing soft, natural, powdery?
Yeah, like I think mostly like with your movements, right? Like you can consciously say like, okay, it's gonna be different. It's not like powder brows, but then your hand is like doesn't want to do something different that when you're doing powder brows. So it's like, no, like you have to really get in there, right?
So like, you caught your hand wanting to do the movements you're used to doing with your brow work.
Exactly.
So with your brow work, are you mostly doing like whip shading and pendulum movements?
Yeah, that's mostly, and like kind of like circling, but it's
like more ovals.
Yeah.
I'm more ovals too. I say circles, but when I really look at my circles, it's probably more of an oval. Yeah. But I've just always called it circles. But
I do it different than how you do it.
You do it different than how I do it. Yeah. So yeah, it is. It's a whole new way of tattooing. And when you're going for that soft, airy, powdery look, I think you girls do have like a certain method or routine or way that you move, like I do on my brow work. But when it comes to eyeliner, to get super saturated, even saturation, and have it heal black, you have to be very, very methodical and follow a very particular pattern. Right. And it's and you don't really change things up. You're just going for that solid, high saturated heel, because that's what they want.
Yeah.
That
bold eyeliner.
Yeah. I know. So I think and your stretch was off. Like you were struggling with your stretch. I think both you and Ren were, fidgeting with your fingers and trying to find the right stretch, because it's really different stretching for an eye than it is an eyebrow. Did you think it was harder stretching for an eye?
Yeah, way harder. Yeah. It's just like so many points that you have to be thinking about when you're stretching the eye,
Yes.
And I think it was like way harder. And at the same time, it's like you don't want to hurt. Like it is weird doing it on the eye, on a person's like eye,
Yeah.
You have to let yourself like get loose and be like, okay, I'm gonna be working on these eyelids, so I can be like scared of like putting too much pressure or something,
Yeah,
like,
that's what you were afraid to do yesterday, is apply the pressure with your grip, with your stretch. Like you had like a like a lighter, light, loving, caring little touch, and I'm like, no,
like you can do that with eyeliner. Take control.
But Jackie was really good as a model because she had a lot of input throughout, and so she would feel me stretch, and which I get in there, I got the death grip on them, right? And I don't worry about hurting them. If I hurt them or something's uncomfortable, they're gonna let you know. That's just my philosophy. So I don't worry about it unless they say something. My whole job is to get in there and stretch the eye, control the eye from blinking, and get the eyeliner in and done as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because I think 3 hours working on an eyelid, that's overworking an eye. We don't really have that time allowance on an eyelid the way we do an eyebrow. Clients aren't going to let you work 3 hours on an eyelid. I mean, they don't like it. Let's just be honest. Like eyeliner is more uncomfortable, than an eyebrow. But Jackie would. But when I would get off and you would get on, Jackie would say, "You're too soft. You're too soft. You gotta be stronger. You gotta press and really get me stronger." And her feedback was even, it hurts less with Teryn because of the stretch.
Yeah.
Right. And that's true. That's just it's just really true. The better our stretch, the less discomfort for the client. Yeah,
the less trauma to the skin. But you know, when she said that, I was like, okay, that's true. Like, so by stretching and really like pulling the skin, then I'm not hurting her that much. So
did you feel like by the end of the eyeliner you're finally starting to like get it a little bit? Now it's over.
That happened to me.
It sucks, right? It's like you feel like you're finally getting it a little bit, and the eyeliner's over. You're like, oh man,
can I do another one?
I want to do another one. But that's what I wanted you and Ren to feel. Is like, I want another one right now, right? Because that's how I felt about eyeliner. Everything it was like after doing my first one, I felt like I didn't do it as well as I wanted to. I wish I had done that, and I wanted another chance. I want to do one right away, and I couldn't wait till my next one.
Because how you said, everything starts like clicking, right? So you're like, oh, now I know how to do it better. So you want to like do it right away. But
I think the first, would you agree? I think like the first, maybe half of the procedure, it's really just getting over your nerves, getting over being scared, right? I think it takes a minute for you girls to realize, okay, I'm not going to poke her eye. I'm not going to hurt her. Right. So, because I think the first part of the procedure, that's like the anxiety of, oh my God, I got a needle, super close to the eyeball. Like, what the hell am I doing?
And that's true. That was like the first portion of like yesterday when we were doing the eyeliner. It was like, oh my God. But then, you start feeling like more comfortable and kind of like the flow of what it's, what's going on with like the procedure and everything. So.
It's funny, but you're right, because it's such a you mentioned it's such a small space, and it is. It's about maybe an inch long, right? And it's maybe a not even a quarter inch thick, and it's taken some people 2 or 3 hours to do that. If you think about it, if you do crazy, right? And on the bottoms, it's even smaller. We're doing more thin, smaller, shorter lines on the bottom. And it can take someone, an hour or two just to do a bottom eyeliner. It's just, you're talking just a skinny little short line. It's like, yeah. But I think, when artists are taking that long to do it, I just think maybe they haven't been taught some of the tips and tricks of, getting done, quicker. Yeah. So
that's what I was talking about, like the methodology. That's like how to do it.
Yeah.
That's like my big takeaway from yesterday, because it's a game changer, right?
Yes.
To know exactly how to like do it.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference from like taking you like an hour or like 3 hours and having healed results with a lot of pigment or healed results with not enough pigment.
Right. Yeah, 100%. We use bigger needles. We use 5 shaders, on the eyeliner, which is better if you're going for high saturation. And I'm somebody that I don't really like touch-up work, and clients don't either. I mean, clients, when they leave an eyeliner procedure, don't you think they're probably...
I don't want to do it in a long time.
I don't want... Yeah, I mean, they're praying to Jesus, like it all heals in and they don't have to do a touch-up. Yeah. Clients don't want to keep coming back. Yeah. That's the truth. But sometimes, artists out there doing, lots of touch-ups just to get the saturation a client wants. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. On some clients, yes, because it's due to the skin. The skin's not going to cooperate. And you're going to end up doing, some touch-up or a second whole session just to get, the saturation you want. But on a lot of skin types, there really shouldn't be any touch-up work or much at all in any way, if you learn, certain things. Yeah. So you guys got another one next week.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
So you didn't sleep, did you? And you went to bed last night thinking about your eyeliner.
Yeah. I was going through like...
Were you beating yourself up, or were you I
think at this point, after 3 years of like being in the PMU world, I've learned not to beat up myself, right? Now I know that it is part of the process of learning, like anything in life, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're not going to be 100% good or perfect the first time you do anything in life, like nothing.
Yeah.
That's not how life or humans work.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's just like, I like to think like, well, what can I do to make it better next time? Why do I have to practice more? Like, do I still have questions that I want to ask? Like Teryn, right? Like all those things.
Right.
So like next time is better.
Yeah. When the eyeliner was done and we sat around out back, I mean, you identified a couple of things that you needed to practice on. So that's good. I mean, that's what a first procedure. That's what's supposed to happen on a first procedure, right? You're supposed to get through it with your mentor, help and be proud of yourself and not beat yourself up and have insight. Like, and you were, and so was Ren. You both were very insightful, and you knew immediately, okay, this is what I struggle with. This is what I need to practice with all week for my second eyeliner, which is next week. You know what you need to get on that latex with and practice with and whatnot, and you're going to be better prepared. If nothing at all, the first procedure better prepares you. It gets you it gets you through the anxiety and the scared. Yeah. Like, oh my God, I'm scared to death. I'm going to poke an eye. It gets you through that. Because the second eyeliner, you're not going to be afraid you're going to poke their eyeball out.
No.
So that's past you.
Yeah.
And it better prepares you for what it is, what's coming, right? So you'll feel more comfortable. You may not do much better of a job on your second one, just to be honest.
Yeah.
But you're gonna feel more comfortable. You're gonna feel more relaxed, right? You're gonna be like more in the moment, and yeah. And I think you're gonna enjoy it, be less afraid. And when you can go into a procedure like that, then you're gonna absorb more. You're gonna be able to execute better. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's all exciting. Yeah, you and Ren are on your way to beautiful eyeliner work. I believe in you and Ren. I have no doubt you and Ren are going to be really great eyeliner artists, like Amy. I mean, Amy, I think it was by her first eyeliner. I was like, oh my God, and I'm so mean. I was like, I didn't expect you to do that well. She probably did better than any other artist I've ever trained on eyeliner on her first. No, I'm not kidding. I brag about that all the time, but she just took to eyeliner on that very first one.
Uh-huh.
And it took her longer with brows.
Okay.
It took her longer
Mm-hmm.
to kind of with brows. And there's a couple things that she's still trying to figure out with brows.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, she does a really good brow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that eyeliner, it's like, I don't know. It was like
her thing right
her
away.
thing.
Yeah.
She sat down and, you know, I mean, a couple of passes, she's like, I'm not even scared no more. She was just like, yeah, I'm going to get this. I'm getting this on. And yes. And she's been doing eyeliners ever since, and she's really good at them. So it's really interesting what we end up struggling with, you know, as artists. Like, you know, mine was lips. That was my big,
really?
Oh my God. Yeah. It took me 6 years to get good at lips. Yeah. 6 years. So I was good at brows and eyeliner first. Then my eyeliner work probably passed my brow work. I ended up better at eyeliner than brows. Then my brow work caught up, and I was really good at brows and eyeliner and areolas and tattooing. And lips, no, I really struggled, really super struggled. Yeah, about 6 years. So
6 years.
Yeah. And then I got really good at them, you know. So it's just figuring out why are you struggling? You know, what is it that you're doing that's making lips or whatever the procedure is a struggle? What the fuck is it? You know?
And 6 years sound like a long time, but in PMU like time frame,
yeah,
it's like normal, right?
It's
to
so
be like
normal.
really good at something.
Yeah, it's so normal. It's so normal. And some people, you know, may never get to where they want to be with lips, brows, or you know, a certain procedure. Maybe it's just not for them. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so we're all on our own unique path, and you know,
for sure,
yeah, for sure. But I'm super stoked. And then after eyeliner, lips, we're getting you in the run on lips. So
I'm so excited for lips.
You are?
Yeah.
You're more excited for lips?
Both. But it's just like lips when I look at all the inks and the colors and everything.
Yeah.
I love that there are so many colors that
Because
you can choose from.
The bright reds
Yes.
and pinks. It's not around an eyeball. You know. But lips. I think eyeliner's harder. I do. Other, you know, there might be other artists that disagree, because we all have, you know, like I said, you know, we all have our struggles and what came easier, what came harder for us. But I think eyeliner's harder. I think, you know, I do a lot of classes, and teaching lips and eyeliner, I think students struggle with eyeliner more than lips. So you might take the lips a little bit quicker, a little bit easier than you did eyeliner, but there are still aspects of the lip procedure that can make a lip challenging, you know, just like every single thing we do. I mean, a beauty mark, it's a goddamn little dot, right? It's a little dot, but that can be challenging if you weren't taught how to do it. You don't want it to look like a dot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you can do a dot, or you can do like a beautiful beauty mark.
A beautiful beauty mark with soft edges, like supernatural, like, or it can look like this dot, like, you know, that you want to rub up, like shouldn't be there. So it's like, no matter how small the procedure or how, you know, simplistic it seems to be, everything we do as cosmetic tattooers has its layer of complexity and challenges.
You can make it as great as you want it.
And exactly. So that's what I love about PMU. We're always being challenged. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I wish things would just come a little
easier.
just come on, give me a break. You know, can't this just one thing be easy? It's like, oh my gosh. But that's not the craft we chose, man. You know, we chose a really, you know, difficult, you know, craft that just has so many layers to it. But I wouldn't be doing anything else. All right, so let me ask you this: we have a lot of newbies that listen to us, like follow the podcast and listen to us. So, and I think a lot of newbies, and we get a lot of feedback from the podcast. A lot of newbies too, or techs, whether they're new or not, are isolated. You know, they're not in a studio with the camaraderie and support of other artists. They're not in a town where there's other artists, or if there are other artists, they're, you know, they don't share their knowledge. It's competitive, and they just don't have support. So we do have a lot of newbies and artists that are a little isolated, follow us and listen to us, and they love this podcast, right? So 3 years in, your first 3 years up to say, what have been your 3 biggest challenges? And it can be either with your brow work, clients, client management, whatever. What were the 3 biggest challenges you've had to overcome so far?
I think the first one for sure was like the aspect of, doing my first couple of eyebrows, and like the anxiety that I would get like at the beginning of, okay, I have to do the consultation, like I'm gonna be working on like real skin, right? So I think that was like the first one.
So anxiety?
The anxiety, yeah, of doing something new and like taking in the first couple of clients. That was like.
So let me ask you this, Sophia. So so when you trained and first learned, were you in a long apprenticeship, or were you was it a 5-day class? And don't be ashamed, because, I think most of the industry right now, they're either learning and getting licensed, 2-day class, 3-day class, 5-day class, because that's what's out there. There's not a lot of 6-month apprenticeships like we offer here.
Yeah, I know.
So what was your initial training to get licensed?
So my initial training, it was first, so it all started with a microblading class.
Okay.
While I was in cosmetology school.
Okay, gotcha. So it was a part of your cosmetology program?
No, so what happened, it was that I was in cosmetology school and I wanted to get my brows done. So I asked one of my teachers, like, do you know a good microblading artist here in Vegas? And she gave me the name of a girl, and I was like, oh, cool. So I went on Instagram, and that was the first time that I ever saw a page filled with before and afters and all that. So I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, how can people do something, this cool?
Right.
So I didn't even end up getting my brows done. I was like, I want to learn how to do this. So that's how everything started.
Okay.
And then in cosmetology school, I thought maybe with my license, I can do permanent makeup.
Right.
And then I asked my teacher, and she was like, no, you need another license. It's a different, process, right?
Yep.
So after, while I was in cosmetology school, I went and took a 3-day microblading class.
Okay.
But because I was still in cosmetology school, I didn't do my apprenticeship or anything like that right away. So it was until I was over.
Was this in Mexico City?
No, here in Vegas.
Oh, here in Vegas.
So here in Vegas.
So you got your microblading, but then to get licensed in Vegas, you have to do a 6-month apprenticeship, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So you ended up doing that with someone here in Vegas.
Someone here in Vegas. So all of that happened here in Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
So once you did your 6-month apprenticeship, did you stay at that studio? So your first few clients, your mentor was there on site for you to pick her brain, help you with pigment selection or technique, or was once your 6 months were over, boom, you were on your own?
So what happened is that while I was on my apprenticeship, 6-month apprenticeship, the owner of the studio invited me to stay as an artist there.
Okay. Okay.
So I ended up staying there. But during the 6 months, I feel like I didn't get enough practice or anything like that.
Yep.
So I was not ready, to take clients or anything, or models. I didn't feel like I was ready, right?
Right. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
But, and think about this. We do 6-month apprenticeships here. And in the PMU industry, if you say 6-month apprenticeship, they think that's long and fantastic, and that's plenty of time to learn eyebrows, eyeliner, and lips, and really, it's not. It's not. In body tattooing, apprenticeships are at least a year, if a year to 2 years long. Yeah. They're much longer, and so... for that reason, our 6-month programs, at the end of their 6 months, once they're licensed, they're welcome to stay and see their clients here. and to still have artists on site, you know, to pop in and help them with pigment selection or, you know, any struggles they have. Because I still think beyond the 6-month apprenticeship, young artists still need that support.
Yes, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. And always, I think, right, throughout your career, like having someone in the industry, like a group, like a support system in the industry, like always someone, like a colleague or someone that you can like call or ask.
Yeah, I think that's important to have that, to have a good, you know, some good PMU colleagues that I do. I have my whole career. I've been lucky. I've had a good group of PMU artists around me that, you know, in other states that, you know, are like Mary Richardson and, you know, Margie Grimm, you know, for many, many years. And just lots of really super talented artists that, I mean, we can call each other anytime and talk about a challenge or get opinions or anything like that. And I think it's important. And a lot of artists just don't have that, you know? Okay. So anxiety.
Oh yeah.
So anxiety, that was your number one struggle. So how did you get over the anxiety? Was it just, you know, brow after brow after brow, just in time, the anxiety just kind of subsided? Because I think everybody has kind of anxiety.
The initial, anxiety. It was that, and also like thinking, I'm never going to be fully prepared until I do this on like someone, right? So I've had training, like I've been practicing, so I just have to like
you have to jump in there and do it. I think sometimes we get in our own head. Right? We get in our own head.
It's like more action and less like thinking.
Thinking,
That's exactly what helped me.
Right. Same thing. I did a Zoom call today because we did our LI Pigments Pro Team Zoom call, and one of the gals on there, she's been, you know, she's in South Africa, and she, hey Carly, well Carla. Yeah, hey Carla. I'm gonna say hi to her. But anyway, she's cute as a button. But she's been doing PMU for 5 years, and so she asked me on the Zoom call today, like, you know, so when do you know you're ready to train? And she's been doing it 5 years, and I'm like, you know when you're ready when they start asking you.
Yeah, true.
And she's like, well, I don't feel ready. I said, well, you're never gonna feel ready. We never feel ready to take our first client. We never feel ready to take our first student. You know, it's like we never feel ready. If we wait until we feel 100% ready,
it never happens.
It never happens. We're never going to progress through our career and have accomplishments. So so that's what I said. I go, it's simple. It's like when they start asking, because when people start, and that's kind of where you are at right now. People are now asking you, right? If you train. And you do. So, you know, you've started training. But I think if people are starting to ask you to train, then there's something about you and your work that is inspiring to them. Right? That they want a part of that. They want a piece of that. They want to learn from you. So I think that's when you know when you're ready to train. Okay, so anxiety. Okay. So what was number 2? What was your second big struggle?
The number 2 big struggle, I think it was for a while choosing the right color to have.
The right pigment?
The right pigment.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a while that was like, I wouldn't have like very bad like results at the beginning, you know, with like real clients. But definitely like, I was like, I don't know. I don't like how this is healing. Like, what should I be doing different?
Well, I think when you first start, you think what it looks like in the bottle is what it's going to heal.
Exactly.
You just look, oh, looks really pretty. Yeah, it matches your hair. I'm going to use this. Right?
And then they come back and you're like, what happened?
Yeah, it comes back and it's like a completely different color. And you're like, that is not what I used.
Yeah.
And I remember showing the client, this is what I used. Look, I swear, this is what I used. I don't know where that color came from. But so everybody goes through that too. That's why every single artist out there needs a really good color theory class, which I happen to have with Beyond the Epidermis. But because I think a lot of trainers don't go over that, and the trainings are not nearly long enough to go over that in depth. Because that's a complicated subject. That takes a minute to fully learn, and fully absorb and understand. Okay, But you're better now, picking out your pigments,
Oh,
picking out your
yeah.
colors. Yeah. Okay. So, and then number 3.
And then number 3, I think it is weird, but you know how we always keep saying like the 3-point stretching, right?
Yeah.
When doing brows.
Yeah.
So it was like after my 5th or 7th client that I actually, like, with eyeliner, like, I started stretching, like, I really got in there and stretched the skin, and it, like, clicked. I was like, wow, like, this is how I should have been stretching. Like, I know I was doing the 3-point stretch, but it wasn't enough until that point.
Right.
So I was like, how, like, the pigment was getting the skin and everything. I was like, I should have been doing that, like, 5 clients ago.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but it takes it. Yeah, it takes a minute. Like your trainer
Mhm.
can show you their stretch,
Mhm.
right? Like I show all our apprentices, and I showed Amber, anybody that's ever started at the Girlz Ink studio, as a newbie. I teach them my stretch, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean my stretch is the right stretch for them, or it's going to
Mhm.
work for them.
Mhm.
And that yesterday that happened, right? Like in real time, because Trish, our apprentice Trish.
Yeah.
So she's been apprenticing for, two couple months, 3 months,
Mhm.
practicing stretching, and she's practicing the way I stretch, the way Michonne stretches, the way she sees,
Mhm.
You guys stretch. And so she gets on her very first eyebrow yesterday, and she's doing that 3-point stretch she sees all of us do.
Mhm.
And her needle snagged a couple of 3 times. She's struggling, this, that, and the other. And and then all of a sudden she's just like, okay, can I stretch like this? And it was a 2-finger stretch.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, we're going to find out. Start tattoo. Let's see what happens.
Mhm.
And she started tattooing, and it was nice and taut. And for the rest of the procedure, she did not get a snag. I mean, it was much more comfortable. And I'm like, girl, do you know what you just figured out on your very first model?
That's like huge.
You just figured out your stretch
Yeah.
on your very first brow model, like
Mhm.
2 passes in.
Mhm.
And that was kind of exciting for her. What a milestone to achieve.
Yeah.
Because you
it
took your
me-
5 clients,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And I don't remember how many clients it took me. I can't even recall, but
Mhm.
I'm sure I struggled. We all struggle with stretch. We all struggle with everything, I think,
Yeah.
starting out, right?
Mhm.
We try to mimic our trainer,
Yes.
but that doesn't always work for us. And then we're left on our own to figure it
figure
it
out
out.
everything. Yeah.
Figure it out on our own.
Mhm.
So I think, so that's really interesting. So you do brows and you do removal.
Mhm.
Those are your 2 things.
My 2
Yeah,
things.
soon to be brows removal and eyeliner.
Yes.
But for right now, brows and removal. So do you prefer putting it in or pulling it out? Do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference.
You like them both the same?
I like them both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, both can be equally gratifying. Like,
Mhm.
one is more, okay, so removing is more like I can relax a little bit more,
Yeah.
because...
Is that a nice way of saying it's a little boring?
No, it's not boring. No, it's not boring, because there are still things that you have to be paying attention, obviously, while you're doing it. But it's not like...
You don't have to design. You don't have to pick color. You have to worry about skin undertone. Like there's
it's
a
a
lot.
little more like straightforward.
It's a little more straightforward.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's more technical than artistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that one, like, I get to relax a little bit more. And I always say, like, with one, it is gratifying, like, at the beginning of the service, and the other one is like at the end. Because with, like, removing is like towards the beginning of the service, where you tell the client, like, don't worry, we're gonna fix this, you know, like, we're gonna remove the pigment. And when you see, like, their face of, like, relief, they're like, this is gonna be, like, fixed. I love that. And the other one is like the wow that they get at the end when you show them the result, and they're like, oh, I love my new brows. So they are gratifying both, but it's like different
in different ways.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I enjoy both probably equally as much too. Putting it in, doing eyelines is probably a little more challenging. It was with the design and picking pigments and all that stuff. But removing is a little more technical.
Exactly.
For me. But I enjoy it. because it's exactly what you said. It's like you're really helping out a human. You're really helping somebody. Not that we're helping when we give a pretty pair of eyebrows, right? Whether it's a little bit of extra time in the morning, or you make them feel a little more secure about themselves, or they can go swimming and not worried about their eyebrows. For whatever the reason someone chooses to get a makeup procedure tattooed, you're helping them, on a level.
Yeah.
But when you cross over into corrective work, and you're doing removal, and you're correcting like a really poorly, badly done pair of eyebrows or eyeliner or lip, it's deeper than that, right? It's deeper than that. Do you find?
Yeah, because like I said, it's more like you're relieving them. Like a lot of them, I don't know, they don't want to leave their houses.
Yes.
Or, it's like causing like some like psychological damage, if you want to call it that way. Like,
no, that's a good way to put it. It absolutely does. It causes mental and emotional anguish for a lot of them. I had a client, she got fired.
Wow.
Because of brows. Yes. Her boss actually fired her here in Vegas.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they were big, thick, like almost black eyebrows, a horrible shape. And she got fired.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the only time I've ever come across that. And it was just so sad, and me too. I've had, hundreds of removal and correction clients over the years, and some of the stories are just heartbreaking. Some of the things you see on their face are just absolutely heartbreaking.
Sometimes they already have a lot going on in their lives.
Yeah.
And on top of that is like a procedure, like an eyebrow, like, or lips or something that they didn't like.
Yeah.
So they come and they tell you like everything that's going on in their lives. Plus, and now I hate looking at myself in the mirror. So it's just like, well, at least with this one thing, I can help them.
Right. This one area of your life, I can step in and I can help you.
Yeah.
And even though for some, it's a long journey, I mean, we use lift. Sometimes with lift, it can be one session. I mean, even with a solid deep brow, I mean, sometimes we get lucky and it's literally 1 or 2 sessions. We have so many examples of that on our lift Instagram page. But in other cases, it can be the same kind of saturation, same kind of look, and it will be 7 or 8 sessions, Yeah. So I learned not to judge and try to predict how many sessions a long time ago. Because it's weird how removal works. So do you find that, because sometimes they can come in and it can be really low saturation and look really sheer, and in my mind I'll be thinking, oh, there's hardly no pigment in there, it's going to be 1 or 2 sessions, I'm going to get this out. And then that's the client where it's like 6 or 7 sessions, like this shit just won't fucking lighten, right? And then I can have a client come in the next week and that pigment is solid and it is packed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like 8 or 9 sessions. I do 1 session and I see them back and I'm like, oh my, what?
A lot is gone, right?
Like 80% is gone, or sometimes almost all of it. And you're like, how did that happen? So like in my course, I always teach, don't even try to predict. No. And don't lock yourself into how many sessions. Like,
don't promise anything.
Don't promise anything. You
don't know if you're gonna be able to.
Yeah, no. I tell in my course I teach, say like 1 to like 8 sessions, and on average it's probably around 4, I guess, on average. Maybe 3 to 4, but in a lot of cases it's 7, 8, 9, 10, and in some cases it's 1. We just never know. I think it might depend on the type of pigment used. And I'm not saying whether it's organic or iron oxide, but maybe the quality of the colorants, are there chemical, or there or anything else in that pigment? Because not all pigments are tested and are clean and safe. If it was, some pigments contain things that shouldn't be in there. That's why testing is important. It can be skin, thickness of skin, oily. There's all kinds of outside variables, I guess, that can affect. Like the timing, how fast we're going to get it pulled out.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the hardest part of removal, is keeping not just your client patient, but staying patient as the one doing the removal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I get so disappointed when I'm not getting results quick enough. I get so disappointed. And I try not to show that to the client.
Yeah, no,
right?
of course. Yeah, no. You want to like encourage them to like, you know, like keep doing the procedure because you know eventually it's gonna like get lighter and better.
Yeah.
But
No, for certain. And I don't you know, and I think saline can actually be quicker and more effective than a lot of lasers.
Yeah.
A lot of lasers.
It doesn't leave any scarring, which I love, right? Like on the skin. So that's what I love about it. And if they want to get anything done again, because a lot of people, what they want is like get rid of the ink and then they want to like do something again.
Yeah.
So I love that it doesn't leave any scarring.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the main things that I love about it.
No, if you got good technique, your techniques and the lift solution is not going to cause any scarring. But sometimes there's scarring left behind from the previous technician. And you don't always see it because there's a bunch of, you know, crappy ink covering it up, you know. And when the ink starts, when the pigment starts to remove and lighten, sometimes that's when you see, you know, that the scar tissue underneath. Sometimes like you don't really know what's under that pigment that you're going to be removing until you start removing it. Have you found that?
Yeah, it has happened. Yeah,
it has happened. It's like, oh God, you know, it's like
you start getting like those like red lines, you know, from
like
the blade.
You
start finding them. You're like, oops.
So it's almost like an unveiling. Like you just don't quite know, because sometimes they come in with like solid pigment, like a ton of pigment, and you don't know what that skin looks like under that pigment until you start removing it. You know, but you know, most of our cases are super successful, and you can end up putting them in a brand new brow, and everybody ends up happy, and those become your best clients, your most loyal clients.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think every single PMU artist, if you're doing PMU, should learn removal?
I think
yes. I do too. 100%. I do too.
I think it is like a tool that everyone should have, right?
Yeah.
Like it is like almost like having like an eraser.
Yeah.
So like more or less like as a newbie PMU artist, I'm like, I think everyone should have it. Just
so if you make a little mistake on your own client as a newbie.
So like it's like, and if you're experienced, just so like you can help more clients, right? Because a lot of people, they don't want any more ink. They want to erase it, right? That's why they need.
Right.
So I think it is like an amazing thing to learn.
Yeah.
To have like a more complete.
100%. That's how I came up with emergency removal. Yeah, because of my classes. You know, I was just doing classes like crazy, and sometimes your students make a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't let the model leave with a mistake.
Yeah, no.
No, I mean, you got to make sure your models leave with pretty work, even though it's students or newbies working on them. And I used to have a bottle, you know, I used to have saline, man. Like saline, and then when we developed lift, you know, it would be lift. They make a little mistake, and I go rub, you know, some lift on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there'd be a little red spot. You know, and we would just like tell the model, you just got a little red spot, you broke a capillary, no worry, I'll heal out. And the pigment wouldn't heal in. The little mistake the student made wouldn't heal in. And so, you know, it's a whole story. I don't want to get into it. It'll take me too long, but that's how I came up with emergency removal.
And it is like, I wish I would have known about it when I did my first model. That was my mom.
So you messed up your own mom?
Yes. She was my very first model. And that's why I ended up learning removal, because I was like, okay, I botched her eyebrows. Now I need to fix this. How am I going to fix it? So I was like, removals. I need to learn how to do removals.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. So I guess that's why it's like when you see newbies like ask like on Facebook, you know, posts like, okay, I'm going to be doing my first models. Would you recommend I book strangers or like a family and friend? And it's always like mixed responses. Someone will say, oh, you know, some people, you know, say family and friends because you're comfortable and you know them. And then some people say, oh, hell no, not family and friends.
They're going to hate me forever.
It's like you're going to, if you fuck up, you're going to have to look at it. And you know, strangers. But for me, I don't think it matters, you know, whether it's family or friends. I think it's like there's always the potential of making a mistake and not doing
Yeah.
your best job, whether it's a family or friend or a stranger. So
But now I know that also if you're like with a good mentor, right?
yeah,
Like it is hard to completely like to make a complete disaster, right?
yeah,
I
no,
was left alone like halfway. No, not even halfway, like 30 minutes into like the procedure.
oh no, oh
Yeah.
no,
And I
yeah.
was like, what am I supposed to do?
No, that's not cool. You can't do
Yeah.
that. You can't do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to let you girls make a mistake. But sometimes it's, I've had mistakes in my classes because sometimes it's beyond our control.
Yeah.
Like I have a nanosecond, like, to stop a student or a newbie, or even like you and Ren yesterday going too high or pulling something out too far. I mean, you guys could do that before my hand could get in there and stop you, or I can speak up and say, stop. Do you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes sometimes trainers don't, we have so much control in preventing mistakes. So even with the best of trainers, you're going to have little mistakes. And I say little, keyword little.
Yeah.
I've never had any big mistakes. Never.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really, none that I can recall anyway. But you do get these little mistakes.
Yeah.
But they're fixable. I'll sit down and I'll blend it in, and I'm not going to let anything bad happen.
Yeah.
No.
And mine was, it was my first powder brow. So it was on my mom, but it wasn't like a teacher or anything. This was a coworker. She's super nice, and she was like teaching me what she knew. So I was like, it wasn't like, like
So
actual training
right.
or anything like that. She was my coworker, and she taught me a lot, but it wasn't formal training. And from there, I realized two things. One was like, okay, I need to learn removals. And the second one was like, I'm not doing powder brows on anyone until I get like formal training.
So does your mom have pretty brows now?
Yeah.
So you're back in the will. Yeah, you're back in the will. Yeah. Okay, good. That's good news.
Yeah. And she's like super cool. So
is she gonna let you do eyeliner, or is she like, oh no, I've been there once, Sophia?
Oh no, she's gonna. I'm now removing her eyeliner.
But you didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
That's another story. It was like way before I was doing PMU, and yeah.
So you're removing her eyeliner. So once it's all removed and she's good, well and healed, she's gonna let you do her eyeliner.
Yeah, she's like, wow, you have to do my eyeliner.
But Teryn must be there.
Yeah.
Right, Teryn must be there.
Yeah.
Or you have to have 20 under your belt, and I need to see it. Yeah.
So I wouldn't make her go through anything like that again.
That's funny. Well, at least it was your mom, but it still sucks, right? It still sucks no matter who it is. It's just like, I know.
You feel so bad.
You
like,
do.
That's not what I wanted to do.
No. So let's, so anybody out there listening, if they want to learn removal, we teach lift. We teach all the, the great techniques of removal. You're a great trainer. You teach lift. If they want to come here at the Girlz Ink studio and do hands-on with you, it's basically a one-day hands-on class. We book them some models. They do hands-on with you, and we upload them to the Lift online course, right? And we upload them to the Lift support group on Facebook, which, Olivia, you run that. And we have is it about 3,000? We have like 3,000 techs.
Wow.
That have taken our hands-on classes, online classes, and they're all on there. And it's a really active Facebook support. It's super active, right? I mean, it's constant posting and mentoring and support. It's a great group. So, so you can, hey, so reach out to Girlz Ink if you want to hook up with Sofia and get some hands-on training in lift removal. It's a great service, and it's a great service to add to your current list of services, because you don't make as much money. We don't charge as much for the service of removal, but what it does, what I found is it does help build a clientele, because once you remove a bad eyebrow on somebody, right? It's like you save their face, and in a lot of cases you saved, you save them. They look at you as like, wow. I mean, you really You really helped me out.
Yeah.
You put a beautiful pair of brows on me. And now they're going to be loyal to you, you know,
Yes.
forever. And then they tell everybody about you, you know, even if they don't choose to get new brows. Maybe they're too afraid now. They just want you to do the removal. And they're like, no, 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 no. I don't want brows, you know, and we do get that. Like they're just too shy now. They had a bad experience. They want them off their face and then they're not ready to step in.
Makes sense.
Right. But sometimes in time, it takes time, then they'll come back. But even if they never choose another new brow, they become such a great source of referral for you because you're the one that helped them. You're the one that removed that bad eyebrow. And they just, you know, they just look up to you and they'll refer you to, you know, anybody asking them about a good PMU artist. They're going to refer you. So I find removal clients become a great source of referrals.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So it will help you build your clientele. So I encourage everybody, if you're a PMU, but I do think, how long do you think, let me ask you this and then we'll get ready to go off, but how long do you think a PMU artist should be out there tattooing brows before they learn removal? Because removal is a little bit more advanced. You got to know your needles. You got to be good with depth. You got to be good with technique of implanting before you remove. So do you have any opinions on that?
I would say probably after your first year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like ready.
Yeah. I would say like 1 to 3 years. And I think it depends on their skill level. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell, we'll get asked, well, how long, you know, I've been doing PMU, you know, brows for 1.5 years. Do you think I'm ready? And my response is always, you're ready if your depth is on point. You have control and precision with that needle in your machine. You understand skin and implantation and your procedures are healing how they should be healing. You know, you feel confident. You know, your work is good. You know, and that's 1 to 3 years. You know, everybody's a little bit different. So I think when those skills are on point and they're very comfortable and confident in that, then they're probably ready to learn removal. Yeah.
So at least like 1 year,
a minimum 1 year.
Yeah.
And that's the very least. And I think there's probably a low percentage of people maybe
that
ready
before that year. They're like ready to take
exactly.
It. Yeah.
Exactly. I think people are more, there's probably more people ready around the 2 year mark, unless they're in a busy spa and they're full time and they're seeing clients every day. You know, if they're part-time and they're seeing 1 client a week, are they ready in a year to do removal? No, because they haven't had enough time on skin. For me, it's all about how much skin have you been on, your time in skin and your skill level. And so I don't think there's really so much a time per se. It's how many procedure, you know, how many brows you've done, your time in skin and your skill level, you know? Yeah. So.
But also that's why when we have them here at the studio learning, we like really want to make sure they're like learning and you know, taking everything in.
Yeah, we've had people that have quit PMU and done nothing but removal. Yeah,
true.
Yeah. So I don't know, but hey, there was a lot more things that we wanted to talk about, and we did not get into. So I wanted to talk to you about like your technique with brows because it's really unique, and I think it will. Be really super interesting for, you know, our listeners to hear how you work an eyebrow. Because I was kind of shocked the way you do an eyebrow. I'm like, I have never like really met anybody that did an eyebrow the way you did. So I think what I would like to do, let's wrap it up and let's have you and Ren on like together. I think that would be fun because you and Ren, if you both do, you know, really beautiful, that more modern Instagram-y kind of eyebrow, yet you both do them like so different, super different techniques, and that fascinates me, and I love it. So I think it would be a great conversation with me and you, Ren, on here, talking all about brows, needles, techniques, and all that. Are you down for that?
Yeah, I'm down. That would be super cool.
Cool. All right. So hey, thanks for coming in today and hanging out with me.
No, thanks for the invite.
Talking and sharing. Yeah, I think this was a great episode. I think people are gonna love it. It was great. All right. All you out there, thank you for hanging out with us today. And as always, stay in the pursuit of happiness and have a great weekend. We will see you next time.